Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and to a brand new video. Today we are filming a book haul. Now normally my book hauls are absolutely insane and there's like 60 books, but I have been a very good egg this year and I have only got 23 books to show you. I amaze even myself. It is almost April and I have literally received 23 books this year, whether I bought them or got sent them. I am so proud of myself because I've unhauled almost 100 books. Most of these were pre-orders, but some have been purchases or sent to me. But I just felt like it was definitely the time to show you some of the books that I have bought, and they're all falling on me. How dare they? I have split those books into genre, but there are some crossovers. For example, I've put paranormal romance in romance, and then I've put fantasy romance in fantasy. So this is going to be a little bit of a jumble, but I have separated them as best I can. So let's jump straight into it with fantasy. Firstly, I received my pre-order of The Prisoner's Throne by Holly Black. This is the Waterstones exclusive edition, which is why it is black. This is the second book in the Stolen Heir duology, which I did read when the first book came out. And I thought it was okay, but I didn't love it. So I'm going to have to read a summary because I don't want to reread it before I read this book. But I do definitely want to finish off the duology. I have heard that there is more Jude and Carden content in this one, so I'm very, very excited. If you do not know, this is just a spin-off duology from the Cruel Prince trilogy. And if you don't know what that is, get to know. It's one of my favourite series of all time. I absolutely love it. And yeah, so anything that's related to that world makes me very, very happy. Next up, I received my Fairy Loot editions of The Bridge Kingdom and The Traitor Queen. These do not add to my TBR. I have read these. I just wanted these beautiful editions. I'm a big fan of the second duology in this series. So every 2 books follows a new set of characters. And whilst I loved the first 2 books, I think one was a 3.5 and one was a 4. I am most excited for them to release the next 2 books, which were both 5 stars for me. But I needed to start the collection off with these ones, and they are beautiful. These books come with custom dust jackets and reversible dust jacket art. They have sprayed edges, they are both signed, and they look just so beautiful. I'm really, really obsessed with them, and I'm really glad to have them on my shelves, looking as beautiful as they are. I do apologise if the angle changed. My tripod fell on my face. All I was trying to say was that I might have shown these in my last book haul. I can't quite remember when I received them, so I am sorry if you've already seen these. I believe this is a small town murder mystery romance. I could be completely off with this. I think it's about our main character's best friend was murdered in school, and the guy who was accused of murdering her left the town and then only came back now to bury his mother's ashes, and the community is now like against, like obviously thinks he murdered her, so they're all like, get out of the town, blah blah. And our main character tries to solve the mystery. I don't know, I'm not entirely sure. All I know is I've heard really good things about this. It looks really like dark and atmospheric just from the cover alone, and yeah, I'm intrigued enough to pick it up. And I thought I want to take this opportunity to grab a really nice edition. Next, we have House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. Again, I might have shown this one. I really can't remember. But just in case I did, let's do a very quick, brief summary. This is the 3rd book in the Crescent City series and the final in that kind of trilogy installment. It's a chunky boy. I have read it. You can see my thoughts and feelings in my January wrap-up if you are interested in seeing them. But I have read this. It lives pride of place on my shelves with my other books in this series, and I have no regrets on purchasing her. Beautiful, look at that cover. This is a urban fantasy murder mystery series that becomes so much more that you can't even begin to delve into, following Bryce Quinlan and her love interest Hunt Athalar. Jade actually just brought me this, and it is A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. As you already saw, I absolutely love the Bridge Kingdom series by the same author. So the fact that this is her adult Norse mythology centered series, very appealing to me. This is the standard edition, I believe, and it is beautiful. I'm really excited to read this one. I've seen such mixed reviews. Some of the people I've seen read it have absolutely loved it, and others have been DNFing it left, right and centre. So I'm both nervous and very intrigued. I'm not entirely sure what it's about. I just know it's about a woman who is married to a king, but doesn't want to be, and then has to fight her way to freedom, I think. It sounds intriguing. I'm just kind of putting my faith in Danielle L. Jensen because I've really liked her other books. As I said, she has gotten 2 5-stars out of me. So let's just hope that this is going to be another success. I never really loved the first in series. Like, they never tend to get 5 stars from me, unless you're talking about Crescent City, but I'm hopeful to at least really enjoy this, and hopefully it'll be a really solid setup to the rest of the series. Thank you so much, Jade, for gifting me this book. I've also seen a lot of people DNFing this. I actually don't believe I've seen one person like this book in my circle, so that's a little concerning to me. Actually, I don't think I've seen anyone not DNF it. But the people who I've seen DNFing it have also not liked this author's first book, The Final Strife, which I really enjoyed. So there's hope for me yet. There is hope for me yet, because I really want to love this book, because I do not want to give up these sprayed edges. They are stunning. This is her first adult debut, following 2 sisters who get banished. One sister gets banished and her sister joins her, and they come across the Fae realm, which has been thought to not exist anymore. So when they have to live among the Fae, it's a shock. I don't know where it goes from there. I have no idea. It sounds amazing, so I'm like shocked that people don't like this. I'm really shocked, but who knows? We'll find out when we get to it. Next we have 6 Scorched Roses by Carissa Broadbent. This is the novella in the Crowns of Nyaxia series. So it comes after Serpent and the Wings of Night, but it is completely unrelated to the characters in that book. You could probably read this first if you wanted to. It honestly wouldn't matter. And this I have read and I have given it 5 stars. This was absolutely incredible, and I cannot believe that something so short packed such a punch. I also feel the need to show you how beautiful this is. Wow. And it was gifted to me by my bestie Lauren, who I absolutely adored my whole being. Lauren had started the series and I have read the first book, so I was talking to her about it, but I had not read this one, and Lauren was like, you need to read it, this is the best. And I was like, okay, I will. And kindly gifted me the book. Thank you so much, Lauren, and I'm so glad you did, because phenomenal, better than the first book. And finally, for the fantasy section, I have Powerless by Lauren Roberts. This was the impulse purchase that I'm trying to avoid this year. I received it yesterday. I bought it on Amazon because it was £4, and even though I'm trying not to do that, I just couldn't resist. I've heard a lot of good things about this series. I know it's YA, but also it just sounds so good and so intriguing, and I'm kind of liking some YA books again now. I just have to be picky on which ones I choose. But I had just finished Lightlark, and even though I cannot in good conscience recommend that book, I'm kind of hoping for something similar, and I think this sounds like it's going to be. So even though I shouldn't really be making impulse purchases, I'm kind of glad I did, because I am intrigued by this one. And again, I've heard so many good things. Let's move on to romance, because that is the second biggest genre I have in this haul. And I'll start with the 2 paranormal romances, because I feel like that blends well with the fantasy genre. So first up we have Bride by Ali Hazelwood. Ali Hazelwood's first kind of delve into paranormal romance. And I did say I was done with Ali Hazelwood. I did. But that's because I was so sick of reading STEM romances, and by the end I was giving her 1 star. Like, I actually could not stand them. This sounds good, okay? I don't really read, is it a Megaverse? I think it's a Megaverse. Books. And like, a lot of people are talking about knotting, which I know what that is. I don't think I've ever read it. So yeah, I do get nervous, and I have not picked it up yet, but I have heard very good things. I'm just happy for Ali Hazelwood to have, you know, expanded her catalogue of books, because I'm a little bit over the STEM. So yeah, I am glad that she took a chance with this book, and I really hope it pays off. I am very hopeful to get to this very, very soon. And the other paranormal romance I have is Do Your Worst by Rosie Dannon. I picked this up, and again, this is why I need to learn my lesson. I'd already bought this on Kindle, so the fact that I picked this up in the store was a moment of weakness and I wasn't thinking straight. But I'm growing and I'm learning. I'm becoming better with book buying habits. You can't get perfect overnight. This is set in a Scottish castle and the guy for some reason tries to get her fired and it doesn't work, so then they become enemies. So I think it's an enemies to lovers, but they're also magic. I'm pretty sure they're magic. Yeah, supernatural, breaking a curse on an infamous Scottish castle. Next we have Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. Again, a book that everybody is talking about. And right now I'm reading the Chestnut Spring series for a vlog and I'm kind of obsessed. Like I am in my cowboy era, 1000%. So here I am with more cowboy romances and absolutely no regrets. I now plan on reading cowboy romances exclusively until the day I die. So if you have any cowboy romance recommendations, please leave them down below. I will be picking them up. I also think this cover is art. I have never seen something so beautiful in my life. I've seen the covers for the next 2 books and wow, again, art. I need these on my shelves. I don't care if they're 1 stars. They're the most beautiful things I've ever seen. This is Small Town Romance with Brother's Best Friend. This is for the cowboy girlies and the cowboy girlies alone. I forgot, I have another paranormal romance that I just completely forgot about, and that is Filthy Rich Vampire by Geneva Lee. I feel like I've seen some people talk about this, but I don't really know. I'll be honest, it was in the works, and I was like, that's not something I expected to see in the works. I'm gonna pick it up. Reason enough for me. Our main character Julian is a vampire who does not want to take part in the like galas, the marriage galas. So I believe it's like Bridgerton where they have like the marriage season. He does not want to take part, so he proposes a fake dating marriage situation to Thea for 1 year, and then he'll give her what she wants. I don't know what she wants, but like, for 1 year if they fake date, and I'm sure they'll end up in love. My Dark Romeo by Parker S. Huntington and L.J. Shen. Again, I'm going to be honest, this cover is artwork, so it did make me want to pick it up more than maybe the book synopsis did. But it does sound really, really good. It's one of those dark, toxic romances, and I'm really into those, so no regrets. It's like a Romeo and Juliet retelling. It says Juliet doesn't die, but Romeo perishes. I don't know what's going on, I'm going to be honest, but it has a debutante ball, and she is Romeo's rival's betrothed, so he uses her as revenge. Who knows, but it has really, really good reviews, and again, the cover is artwork, and I just really want to read it. Then we have The Nanny by Lana Ferguson, and I had just read Heartless, which had like a nanny situation in it, and so I was like, I want to pick this up. I want more nanny stuff. Like, I'm definitely into it. And this one is about a nanny who is also on OnlyFans, and I don't know if I'm gonna be like, if this is gonna be like a TikTok situation where something's so culturally now. Like, I hate when something mentions I hate when books mention TikTok, and I hate when books mention any social media really, and I wonder if that's going to be the same for me. Am I going to hate it because it ages a book so much, or am I just going to have a good time and be like, this is so unique? I don't know, it could go one of 2 ways, but I do love a nanny situation. I always love a nanny romance. I've heard that this one's very steamy. My pride and joy, the last Magnolia Parks book. This is Magnolia Parks Into the Dark, and whilst I don't love this cover, I do love this series. Now that I have the last Magnolia Parks book, I feel much more inclined to binge read what I have left of this series, because I have like 3 books left to read. Obviously we won't have the Daisy Hates last book for a little while because this just published, but at least we'll see the events happen in this one. So it'll feel like a closed chapter. And Magnolia Parks is my favourite of the characters, so I feel very excited to read this one, like beyond excited. It is a chunky boy, but the series is so easily digestible. They never feel big. They never feel long, and they never feel like a chore. So now that I have this one in my hands, I definitely plan on spending a couple of weeks just binge reading all of the series, maybe even starting from the beginning so I can have a reread moment. Who knows? But this is such a good series. I couldn't recommend it enough. It is like Gossip Girl if it was British, toxic romances, all set in London between rich socialites with some severe problems because they just can't stop being cruel to each other. 100% recommend. Then we kind of have just a hodgepodge of genres. Firstly, we have a YA mystery, and this is A Season for Scandal by Laura Wood. This was sent to me by the publisher, so thank you very much. I haven't read it yet because this is the second in the series and I do not own the first. But I'll be honest, after I received this, after never hearing about this work before, I searched up the first one and it sounds so interesting. I need to get my hands on it. It doesn't say in this one when it's set, but I know it's like kind of historical fiction, feminist detectives trying to solve a mystery, and this one is just following on from the events of the first book. It sounds so good, and like it looks really easy to read because I'm not being funny, there's barely any words on the page. I just need to get my hands on the first one first before I read this one, but I'm really thankful that this got sent to me. It put a series on my radar that I've never even heard of before, so I couldn't be happier. And also I love these covers. Another book that got sent to me was The Sleepwalkers by Scarlett Thomas, and this comes out in April. So thank you very much to the publishers again for sending me this one. It is described as a gothic thriller, and I cannot gauge from the synopsis what is going on, but it seems like a couple are on their honeymoon on this island full of secrets, and there's a storm and they are separated one night and forced to face the secrets of their marriage. So I don't know if this is like some sort of domestic thriller situation. I honestly have no idea. It just sounds so peculiar. It's super short. It's under 300 pages, but it does sound really, really interesting to me. It says the exhilarating, suspenseful, and subversively funny The Sleepwalkers asks urgent questions about relationships, sexuality, and the darkest elements of contemporary society when our most terrible secrets are hidden in plain sight. I love stuff like that. I love secrets. But yeah, I'm super interested in this one. I just haven't heard anyone talk about it before, so I'll let you know how this goes. Then we have My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Otessa Moshfegh. This kind of blew up booktube last year, and I did start reading it on a copy from the library, and then I had to give my copy back, and I kind of just forgot that I'd read a part of it. I didn't get far at all. I must have gotten about 40 pages. Because the chapters are so long. I think the first chapter was like 50 pages, and I think that's all I got into it. It's about this woman who is very privileged. She lives in New York City. She has plenty of money, a very privileged lady who is kind of suffering with mental health. And so her decision and her way of overcoming the things that are going wrong in her life is to decide to sleep for a year. And whilst that sounds amazing, I'm very intrigued. And I don't know this, but I believe it's going to be like a discussion on how mental health affects everyone, our unseen privilege, us not recognizing how lucky we are and what we have. I don't know, I'm really intrigued. I've heard since the blow up of this book so many things about Otessa Moshfegh's books, especially Eileen. And so I really want to pick this one up because it's her most popular. Then we have some horrors. The first up is The Whispering Muse by Laura Pachel. I love this cover. We follow a woman who loses her job as a maid, and in order to fund her family, she has to take a job with the London Theatre as a costume designer. And I don't know what happens from that. It's very vague in the synopsis. I don't know what happens, but it sounds absolutely amazing. I also don't know if it's truly horror. I can't remember where I picked it up from in the store. Like where in Waterstones, what section it was in. Got Elodie Harper on the front, okay, and I absolutely love Elodie Harper, and anything she recommends I will also love, I'm sure. So yeah, I don't know much about this one. It is very vague, but I'm very, very intrigued by this one, and the synopsis has stayed in my mind since I picked it up, and that's a really, really good sign. It's also fairly short, again, under 300 pages, so this is definitely one that has instantly shot to the top of my priority TBR list. And yeah, hopefully you'll see my thoughts soon. If you've read this one, let me know. I'm really intrigued to see what people think about it, because I've not heard anything about it. I've only ever heard about this author's other book, The Silent Companions. I've never thought to pick it up. And then we have A Botanical Daughter by Noah Medlock. This I went onto Goodreads, and it had less than 100 reviews. So I don't know if it's a brand new release or if it's just not well talked about, but it sounds absolutely fascinating. We follow a gay couple in Victorian London who obviously are hiding from society because they're not going to be accepted. So they're hiding in a botanical garden greenhouse. That's where they're living. And they're so isolated in this setting. You know, they're very excluded from society. They have no interest in partaking. But it is a spore horror. I noticed in a lot of the books in this haul are described as gothic. Maybe I've now suddenly got into my gothic era. And finally, the last two books are translated works. And first we have All the Lovers in the Night by Miko Kawakami. This author is very famous right now for Breasts and Eggs, which I also really want to read. But when I picked that book up, I saw this one next to it, and this synopsis intrigued me just a little bit more. So I thought I'd start with this one. We follow a freelance proofreader in her 30s, living alone and unable to form meaningful relationships. She has little contact with anyone other than her colleagues. It sounds like one of those books that, even though it's about a woman in her 30s, I feel like this is the kind of thing that people need to read in their 20s, because being in your 20s is so hard. Nobody prepares you for the switch from being a teenager where you're surrounded by people your age, you have school, you have college, you have uni, you literally meeting people all the time, and then suddenly you're an adult and the only people you know are your colleagues. You are so isolated from anyone. It's really hard to make friends in your 20s. I cannot wait for this. Like, I feel like this is going to be such a vital piece of literature that will just speak to me in ways that nothing else can. And again, even though it's about a woman in her 30s, I feel like as someone who is turning 26 next month, I feel like I need this. I need this, and I need to see this woman's story. It's probably going to be read in the next week or so because I have literally never resonated with the book so much in my life just from a synopsis. I'm very lucky to have some great friends in my life, but I feel like in your 20s you can still feel so lonely even when you're surrounded by the best people. That feeling does not go away. So yeah, I'm just intrigued to see this woman try to fight with her own, I guess, bubble that she has put around herself. I'm just so intrigued. And not to throw them all in the same category, but as a general, I find translated fiction, especially translated from Japanese, to just be the most beautiful books that I've read. The descriptions and the way of writing, it always gets me. So I'm hopeful to love this one and hopefully then pick up Breasts and Eggs. And finally, Joanna sent me Before Your Memory Fades by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. This is the third installment of the Before Your Coffee Gets Cold series, which I absolutely love. If you do not know what this series is about, it's kind of like short stories, but all featuring into one narrative about a coffee shop where you can time travel and meet somebody who has also visited the coffee shop. And these stories are so meaningful and deep. I just absolutely love them. They make me cry every time. I have not read a Before the Coffee Gets Cold book in so long though. I'm kind of feeling like I should wait for the fourth book to come out and then do a reread of the first two and carry on the series, because there is an overarching storyline as well that I feel like I've forgotten. So yeah, these covers are incredible. The books are incredible. I think they've both been 5 stars for me so far. So I'm pretty sure this is going to be a 5-star for me as well. Who knows? I just love every time a new one of these comes out. I hope they never end. So those are all the books that I have picked up this year in 2024 so far. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know if any of these books you have read or also on your TBR or now on your radar to pick up. Let me know everything down below, and I shall see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.